Celebrate the legacy of Duke Pa'oa Kahanamoku, ambassador of aloha and father of international surfing at Waikiki Beach, August 18th through the 26th, with fun events for the whole family. Matson Menehune Surf Contest, Duke's Waikiki Amateur Longboard Classic, Access Surf Hawaii Adaptive Surf Championships, Outrigger Hotels and Resorts Beach Volleyball Tournament, Calvin and Susie presents Going to the Dogs Surfer Competition, the Duke's Waikiki Ocean Mile Swim, Nakoa Wounded Warriors Canoe Regatta, Pacific Tandem Surfing, and more. Duke's Ocean Fest, August 18th through the 26th.
Good morning, aloha kakahiaka kako, and welcome to the 2018 Duke's Ocean Fest. We are in finals day of the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships, brought to you by Access Surf. Good visions of the Pink Hotel, the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, one of the original hotels here on the beach at Waikiki. And we want to welcome all of our viewers on explore.org, as well as Surfline. Thank you for streaming us. And welcome to all of our viewers on Spectrum Surf Channel, Channel 20 and 1020. Kaipo Guerrero, along with Rocky Cannon and John Davis for the call. We've had two previous days with all the qualifiers, guys, but today is going to be our finals day, John.
It is the finals day today. I'm looking at the heat sheet right now. Felipe Lima, Jeff Munson coming up heat 2 in that men's sit final. The visually impaired final as well. Scott Leeson and Matt Fromson. I'm seeing a ton of just great lineup action here. So the waves have shown up too, Rocky.
Yeah, definitely seeing more white water today than we've seen in the previous few days. So that's a good sign. Maybe some indications of what's headed our way. No secret, it's all over national news. We are getting prepared, but we're going to enjoy this little calm before the storm Kaipo mentioned yesterday that still is providing beautiful conditions this morning, and we're going to take full advantage with our Access Surf Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championship final day. And it looks like all final rounds and final heats today. We mentioned the combination of different elements of competition, the elimination variety with you advancing through heats, and also the kind of shootout Eddie Aikau format with the non-elimination, couple of heats, and you add up your best scores. So really cool combination of different formats here for the finals, and some pretty nice waves to get things going this morning.
We're going to start off with the men's stand-up finals, guys, and just to simplify the format, today's a finals. It's just a straightforward final. We're going to have finals, you know, first through fourth place in all of the divisions, and that's how we're going to roll it out. And we're going to see a champion in each of the divisions. Right now up for grabs, John, is the men's stand final. And can you go through some of the competitors that we have in this four-man final?
You got it. In red, we got Pegleg Bennett out of Great Britain, David Connor, local here, Hawaiian, Thomas Ikala from Canada, and of course Sam Rengano from Switzerland. We have some of those landlocked countries here, which is always great to see. And up and riding here, we have yellow Thomas Ikala from Canada. Just a quick in and out there as he gets his feet in the wax and gets started this morning.
Rocky Thomas did a good job of positioning himself for that opening wave. He was in a pack of surfers.
Yeah, and you saw the opportunity with the face value of that wave really lining up for him. Unfortunately, caught a little rail right there, but you see the scoring potential today is there. You see that deep takeoff. Had a nice face to work with, a little chandelier from his fellow competitor, but nothing that'll be, you know, remotely close to an interference call. But a little bit disappointing for him that he couldn't convert there. But, you know, like you said, John, getting his feet in the wax or foot in the wax, and the prosthetic also right there. A lot of these standing division surfers, amputees.
Exactly, and that's just the case here with Thomas Ikala as well. So that's just a great observation. And as you can see, he lost that outside edge as he was going to do that cut back, and that's just that lack of speed. A little more projection off that bottom turn, that just half a mile an hour more of speed, and that roundhouse cutback just comes around for you. And looking for these guys to really work that power spot, that curl of the wave today.
Truly an international event. Thomas is one of 3 Canadians in our finals today. We've had other countries represented: Chile, Switzerland, of course Brazil, the exciting David Teixeira, we're going to see in the men's assisted final. Can't wait to see what his show is. Yesterday, Davi Teixeira actually scored our first perfect 10 in the afternoon. So look forward to seeing Davi. He's kind of a hero in Brazil, as well as we have a French competitor, Australians, Great Britain, all represented here at the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships.
I like the age range represented too. Davi, one of the youngest competitors, and we've got competitors that are on the more experienced end of the spectrum. And other countries, we got Great Britain represented here on the final day, Japan, as well as Wales and Australia, part of our international combination. Even a Denmark, a Danish surfer coming up in our prone final.
Yeah, Bruno Hansen, our Danish surfer, actually did an excellent job yesterday in that prone division, John, where he really showed a lot of his athleticism. The guy was an extremely fast paddler.
He is a specimen as far as his physicality. He just works out all the time. As we mentioned, he climbs a rope to get to his treehouse in Bali. As we see Surfer and Reg, Pegleg Bennett up and riding. Pegleg was really looking forward to his heat today as you see him come off that bottom, off the top. This is what the judges want to see right here, that controlled maneuvers off the top, bottom, off the top, working the nose of the board, working the back of the board to get those fins engaged. I'm not sure if he's working a tri-fin or a single fin on this longboard today, but again, you can see the waves cooperating and Pegleg making the most of it.
Making the most of it. An interesting wardrobe there for Pegleg out in the water.
Hey, and there is a guy, that's his nickname, of course, Pegleg. There's a guy who is very comfortable with his situation.
Well, Rocky, he's even more comfortable in the water right now, John. Maybe you can fill us in on some of the wardrobe that we're seeing right now from that opening. We'll get back to that because we're back to live action here with Sean, and he gets a nice cheater 5 before he gets submerged.
Great cheater 5 there you got, and I like to see these guys working the nose. That's what this event's all about. Queens, known for its longboard wave here, and that just beautiful style of cross-stepping, working the nose, getting back on the tail, engaging those fins. So Sean was a good example of getting up to the nose there. But yeah, Pegleg Bennett, apparently he lost
Talk
the
about
bet.
the replay, huh? Well, first we're going to take a look at Thomas.
Yeah, let's take a look at Thomas here. Again, nice control, gets a little caught behind there and just does a flyaway kick out over the white waters. We see red here up and riding, Pegleg Bennett. So here we go. Pegleg lost a bet, so you'll see his shorts here. He's got the Great Britain flag here on his shorts, and I'm sure his buddies that are won the bet are just laughing their tails off here as Pegleg does his show here. But great surfing.
I'm just realizing the white part of his wardrobe on his upper thigh is his leg.
Yes.
His real leg that is normally not exposed.
You got it. Great replays there. There's Daisy, the surfing duck, ready to go. I did get a cameo selfie with Daisy this morning.
Nice.
She's fired up for her heat. You know, she's not sure if the weather's going to cooperate or not. She's going to have to go back to Florida. There, she's with Tanel Bolt from Canada here.
You know what?
Incredible therapy. Pet the duck.
Yeah, exactly. And let's keep the duck safe. Keep that duck away from Chinatown as we're here in Honolulu. So we want to keep right on the border, safe right here at Kuhio Beach.
And with the 160 miles an hour winds in Waikiki, if you're walking around today and you hear duck, it might be Daisy, or you might need to duck.
Get down.
Flying debris could be the other hazard out there.
So stay safe, Daisy, please. We need you out there, and it's just a great opportunity to incorporate these animals into the event. It's just there are four-legged friends, our two-legged friends here, and that Kaipo, you mentioned that therapy component there, coming into the hospitals, bringing that stoke to these people, and here we get to have them at the beach, which is uncommon on this stretch of sand. This is a no-dog zone, no animal zone.
Right, except for the pigeons that like to fool around here from the Honolulu Zoo and Kapiolani Park, but so great to see that Daisy the duck down there. And good look at our lineup from the drone cam. Still some nice, beautiful, clean water. And stroking into this one, it looks like yellow will be Thomas Ikala. And our Canadian contingency represented here. And a lot of these Canadians cross over sports from the snow activities. As a little footwork towards the nose, not really on the nose. And beautiful look at that nice breaking wave compared to what we've had. It is going off today, guys.
Yeah, nice little bump up in the swell. Conditions still favorable today. We may get a little bit of an onshore flow, but nothing to be too bummed out about. It's a beautiful finals day, and we're going to fit this finals in before, you know, our weather turns more inclement here on Oahu. As we look at the bug in the corner, looks like Pegleg's out in the lead, but we're still owed a score for Thomas from those guys right up there. There's a shot of our judges tower high up there. We have 5 judges and the spotter, all assigning numbers to each and every one of these waves. Take a look here at Sean. Sean riding the surfboard, John.
Yeah, he's on a shortboard, and you're going to see different crafts today as people adjust to the wave size today. It's a little bit different. Some choosing to stick to that longboard, get into the wave early, take that sort of backdoor approach where they can get in early, sweep around that peak, as you mentioned on day number 1 here at Queens. That's sort of a technique where you can get in early and just get that into that power pocket, as we see the replay here from Sean. Great stance as he got up backside here, and of course backside and front side, definitely a different opportunity for scoring potential as well.
Opened up with a nice cutback right there. That'll be a completed maneuver, and actually into his 3rd little fade back into the white water. So definitely the criteria, looking for those moves out the back and the more critical part of the wave. So the judges applying the conventional World Surf League standard and status for the competitors, a speed, power, and flow element, maneuvers in the critical part of the wave. And, you know, longboard versus shortboard is going to be taken into account as well today for our judges. So they do have their hands full in comparing different wave and surfing crafts here today.
And Thomas Ickler there, he had a snowboarding injury that resulted in the amputation of his arm and hand there. So you can kind of see the different disability classes. Of course, we here in black, we have Sean there from Switzerland. He has that leg amputation. Having the different disability classes in there, we still try to have that judging and be as equal and fair as possible. So the judges are still looking at all those performance criteria that it takes to really get that excellent score, good score, average score, whatever it is.
You know, as we look at live action here with Sean, and doing a really good job on that shortboard out there, a lot of these athletes, and we've talked about it before, John, are actually multiple adaptive sports athletes. A lot, especially the Canadians, which will have they also have an alpine pedigree, right?
Exactly. And it's a lot of these countries, it's their experience with their adaptive sport athletes and the ability to provide the funding for this equipment. The equipment is not cheap. It is there's a specialty surfboard there, one of the wave skis, upwards of $1,500 to $2,000 with the custom paint, I'm sure over $2,000. But having those countries that support their athletes, having those nonprofits in place that help to equip with equipment, nonprofits like Challenge Athletes Foundation, which is a supporter here, as well as at the U.S. Open of Adaptive Surfing in Oceanside, California, coming up here in that first week in October, as we see Sean again here on his backhand, getting one of those inside at Queens. And when you're at Queens, you have the outside peak, and it does have that inside peak for those sort of mid-running swells that come through that outside, and they do line up on that inside reef as well.
That's exactly right. And some of those waves can actually offer just as much, sometimes even more scoring potential than a wave that breaks further out. So that little mid-reef section you're talking about is where the wave stands up a little steeper and can offer some great opportunity.
Coming up next is going to be our sit finals.
Candy corn.
See everyone getting ready for that sit finals. We both have a men's and women's sit finals. We're going to go back to back. We're going to open up with a gentleman after this stand-up final. That is ticking down, and we'll see if we can get an update on our scoring and the standing in this final.
Well, we have some new viewers on Spectrum, 1020 and on your HD, and 20 on your regular television channel this morning, and we'd like to welcome all of our Spectrum viewers. We had 2 days of competition already. First rounds, second rounds, you know, semis leading up to today's final, and so awesome to have Spectrum as a partner for this final day. Really awesome expansion of coverage for this morning's broadcast.
John, it looks like Pegleg, and that wardrobe is suiting him just fine because he's got the lead in this final. 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, so we'll see if Pegleg Bennett can take out a win here, and his good luck shorts work in his favor.
He's got the top to match too. Just wait till the singlet comes off.
Right,
yeah, he's got the top to match. But Pegleg looking like a 13-point heat score right now. He's got a little bit of a headlock on on this heat right now. Sean Regano from Switzerland is nipping at his heels in second, and Thomas Ikala is in third with a 7.33. David is really looking to get on the scoreboard here. David Connor from Hawaii is really looking to get on the scoreboard. He's got one wave of just non-consequential.
You know what, Rocky? That is surprising to me, that because up until this final, David Connor was looking like he was one of the more in-form surfers in this stand division at the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championship. So he's maybe just waiting for that one set wave to turn the tide.
Yeah, and you know, on a day like today, it can come down to a difference of one nice big score that can really vault you into a better position. Of course, where he is now and where Pegleg is, he's still a two-wave combo away. But, you know, with 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining, you see the clock there, it doesn't take much here at Queens to really turn it around if you can wait for that one and get that score. Any information on what the nature of that bet would have been for Pegleg Bennett? I'm just curious.
I put my hands over my ears. I said, la, 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 la. I said, I don't want to know. Don't tell me anything.
It's not fit for broadcast at the moment. All we know is that we have a wardrobe out there. Pegleg is leading and looking really good as we see the ski get into the water. Looks like we're going to have some water visions from Larry Haynes.
Yep, mahalo to Aloha Surf Lifesaving, doing a great job, and they'll be on point today with our assist division. And there we go with Pegleg Bennett, our heat leader, and continuing that charge. Beautiful cutback right there. Gets all the way back to the white water. Then the wave starts to fizzle, but he's going to milk it for all it's worth and try to get back out for more. Here's white David Connor, who is currently in fourth. That's going to better his positioning right there with a first wave of a 0.83. That'll help him a little bit in this final.
And just to kind of point out as well, Pegleg's got that amputation on his left leg. He surfs front side. His prosthetic leg is forward. That back foot, as you guys know, and our audience maybe doesn't know, is that's your power spot. That's where you do the stalling, and as well as moving that weight forward to pressure that front. And on that front leg, it's, like I said, kind of a stilt. You don't have the feeling on your foot. So for Pegleg to really be weighting and unweighting and using that rail and that balance, it's really great. And then we look at David Connor, goofy foot, same left leg, but his left leg's back now. So that power and that transfer of power, it's a different set of techniques. So let's keep an eye on that as this heat unfolds here.
Looking at Sean, he's currently in second place. He's been doing a great job on that short board.
Also has the back foot as the prosthetic, so different application of pressure.
With Sean.
Exactly, and then on the shortboard as well, you have a much smaller sort of area to put your foot in the right position, get it on that stomp pad. On that stomp pad, you have that that tail piece, the tail block that's on there as well, and that tail block is your positioning with your back foot. And if you have a prosthetic and you can't feel that, you really are going by just repetition. You're going by just that habitual, you know, putting it in the exact spot every time. So I just so impressed with these stand-up surfers, especially the amputees.
Positioning again, key for Pegleg, our current finals leader. He's got a couple of scores that the judges owe us, and looks like he's chalking up another good wave. So on his way to a championship here at the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships. We'll see what the judges think about that, but in my eyes, Pegleg's looked like he's for sure the forerunner. Yeah,
I mean, he's got waves, I'm sure, that are throwaway scores that the other surfers would gladly accept as a keeper score. That's how well he's performing here in this final.
I think it was a 7.37. I want to say we'll get the updates on the scoring here in a sec. But he was right nipping at that excellent level.
Yeah.
And really here at Queen's Day, I think we're going to see a lot of excellent scores in the 8+ range. That's what we call excellent. From that sort of 6 to 8 range, we got good, and then from that 4 to kind of 5-6 range, you're in that sort of average score range for waves. As we see White here up and riding, David Connor as well. See that prosthetic in the back, his leg up front there, and he's just waiting and unweighting, and you see his balance is a little bit different than Pegleg. Pegleg really had that kind of quintessential California point break style going. I like his flow, I like his style, and I think he's getting rewarded with that.
Yeah, great you know, knowledge of where to be on the wave for Pegleg, and really put himself in the optimal position for scoring.
Just a note, that's a non-competitor that we're watching right there. So he's just having his morning surf at Baby Queens. not going to factor into where we talked about scoring. And sound of the horn, we're going to get back to scoring in the next heat if we can get a confirmation, but I'm fairly sure that Peg Leg Bennett is going to be our men's stand-up final winner in the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championship.
You'll be the champion. That's very likely. We'll, of course, wait for the official results, but what we saw on the screen and what you saw on the top corner of your screen there with the scores, the big lead that Peg Leg had going into the final moments. And here's a recap with a beautiful wave, almost head high on those bottom turns and milking it very well, hitting it high, hitting it low, little footwork there for good measure. And like we said, had a bunch of good waves, probably didn't score below 5 points, and nearing the excellent scoring range, like you said, John.
Yeah, great. Here we are on his backhand here. We have Sean from Switzerland as well. Enjoyed that he took the shortboard out. I'm really glad with his equipment choice today, as we see Thomas Ikola from Canada as well. I like the shortboard aspect as well. It shows just a different dynamic. He's looking to show a little bit something different of his ability. That's what he's been practicing on. And as we look here at this end of the heat recap, we'll see you in a little bit at the Hawaiian Adaptive Surfing Championships.
And we're back live here at Waikiki. It's the Dukes Ocean Fest 2018, and today's finals day for the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships. We're in the sit-down division, and we're straight into action here on your screen. In the black, Elias Valencia. Looks like he's got a good ride behind him. And Elias is going to take this wave all the way through. Looks like he makes a nice little connection there, so it's really nice to see improved conditions, a little bit more swell energy for finals day. And thank you for joining us on explore.org, on Spectrum Surf Channel, as well as live streaming on surfline.com. Kaipo Guerrero, along with Bo Hodge, has just come into the booth. Bo Hodge, a Triple Crown veteran, as well as an integral personality in Access Surf, as well as two-time adaptive surfing champ John Davis is with us also to call all the action. Good morning, guys, and good to see you over here, Bo.
Aloha.
Yeah. So
Good day. We're being blessed with some waves. I mean, this is triple the size that we've had all week. You know, it's not the 8 to 12 feet that the news media has been reporting, but here we go, stroking into this wave. This is going to be Chris Oberle from California. Good carving turn. Chris has got such great equipment. He does spinners. He can hit the lip. He can get barreled, and former champion. This is Jeff Munson out of Puerto Escondido.
You got it out the back here. We're looking actually Chris in the inside. It looked like Felipe Lima out the back on that set wave there. Good for Felipe to have that opportunity. Here he goes. We're going to see the kind of end of his ride here. Felipe has been pushing the limits of adaptive sports and especially adaptive surfing for years in Brazil. His technique in the wave ski is bar none, heads and tails ability-wise above everyone, and his injury is one of the more severe as well, so he's really working what he has as far as his abilities to get the performance out of that wave ski. He'll surf with his legs straight out in front of him with a strap around his knees, and a lot of other competitors won't do that. He does that because he can roll after a wipeout and get right back up on the board and paddle back out. So he has a couple advantages that we'll keep an eye on here as we look at the replay really quick of Felipe. Again, another great cut back there as he goes around our surfer in white, Jeff Munson. Another all the way back around cut back. Gets a little caught behind the section here, but I'm still looking for a great score with those 2 or 3 maneuvers on the outside. I think the most critical for the scoring today is those outside maneuvers.
Yeah, Felipe, a former ISA world champion, the defending champion at this event, as we see Chris Oberle on his second ride. See the dedication that he puts into that paddle. Nice carving turn. This was his first opening wave. He was trying to do a spinner there, but he just couldn't get that nose around the whitewater, and does quite a few floaters here, Jeff. So very impressed with Chris Oberle on his opening wave.
And again, Chris wrapping up on the inside. Chris from Hutchinson, Kansas, came to surfing a little bit later in life. I was one of the gentlemen, as well as Jeremy Jones, big mountain snowboarder, who encouraged Chris to get back into the water and to get back into sports after his injury. And it's such a blessing to see him here at the Dukes, here in the finals, doing what he loves, and as you said, Bo, pushing the limits of his equipment. He called me the night before he left for Hawaii and said, which board should I take? I said, take them all, because you never know what the waves are going to be like. And
so how many did he bring?
I think he brought a couple at least, but his Max Ski here is one. Max Ski is more of a wave ski designer rather than a surfboard designer, and Chris has been utilizing that more bulbous kind of tail of the board with that tri-fin setup to really get that projection that he wants.
Let's take a look at a couple of the replays, guys, that happened during our break just to get caught up in all the action.
See Elias and Felipe here, you know. Elias in that whitewater section. Felipe, nice carving turns. Look at the dedication. Look at the weight transfer that he puts on onto those rails there. Hangs on into the whitewater, and then he dismounts here on the outside. This is Chris Oberle, John.
Chris, again, you know, I like to see Chris on that top to bottom maneuvers. He really, as soon as he sets that bottom turn and comes up, I know he feels more comfortable because he really likes to be on rail. He is just a rail surfer, and you'll see his quickness as well in the paddling as well as on the wave when he transfers edge to edge. Speaking of paddling, you refer to Chris Oberle, John, as the Hummingbird, and why would he come up with that nickname? Yeah, he runs a shorter length of his paddle, and that shorter length of his paddle automatically kind of gives him more of a hummingbird, more of a quicker type of a stroke back and forth on the paddle. He likes that approach. I know Greg Hall, one of the original wave ski surfers out in San Onofre, is kind of the originator of that hummingbird type of paddle stroke, at least for wave skiing. And I personally like a little bit longer shaft. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. I like that more just longer and deeper paddle stroke and more consistent. But they both work well, and as we see our athletes here getting in position here.
We like a longer paddle here with Jeff Munson trying to get into this wave. We'll see if he can scoot on into that. That's going to be a hard one, but Bo, we have surfers out here in the sit division with paddles, but we also have Elias Valencia out here just powering his board purely by his hands. He has no paddle.
Yeah, but he's still in that proper sit position. So in the classification years ago, we were trying to figure out, well, what is Elias? Well, he's sitting. Well, he doesn't have a paddle. I don't think that matters. His hands are his paddles, and that's the way he can surf. He can't lie down properly and bring up his upper torso. So this is the way he surfs, and this is the classification, and it's exciting to see Elias making the final here at the Hawaii Adapting Surfing Championships.
I do like it. I do like the paddle. You have to respect the paddle. The paddle can get you into great situations. The paddle can get you into trouble as well. Not having the paddle, not having an extra piece of equipment that's in the lineup that can come back and hit you in the head, or that can, you know, anything in the surf. It's I like the style.
We just saw Faith. She's getting ready for her stand heat coming up 2 heats from now. She's in the water, or excuse me, on the sand there with her parents, and very exciting young surfer we're going to see 2 heats from now. But yeah, we've seen Elias come and compete here on the big bulky boards. I'm glad to see he has narrowed down his board, and he's getting more turns in, because I remember 5-6 years ago he was just going straight and he was just out there, and now he's interpreted turns, carving, board design, and he's advanced his surfing progression.
And looks positioning as well. Looks like he's really right in the mix with all the paddle guys, right in the middle.
Yeah, a nice view from high up above, and you can see the reef and sand that make up the bathymetry of this Queen Surf Break. Everyone's going to paddle for this one. Who's going to come up with it? Well, kicking out there quickly was Chris Oberle. It looks like Elias is kind of stuck in front of Jeff Munson. We do have interference rules here, just like any other surf competition. So we're going to see, Bo, what the judges and how they interpret that. Did he interfere with Jeff's ability to score on that wave?
Great late takeoff for Chris Oberle. He did a slide turn there, but he couldn't hold it in the whitewater, and you saw him going down. That'll leave our defending champion Philippe up and going, trying to get a little head tuck on the takeoff. But look at the carving maneuvers that Philippe is able to do on this wave ski.
Well, Philippe out of Brazil is definitely a high-performance sit-down surfer, and he's showing I think once we get the bug up and some scoring, an update on the scoring, I would believe that Philippe is actually in the lead right now. That's just out of my gut scoring system. And speaking of scoring system, John, can you tell us a little bit about how we come about with scores here at the competition?
Exactly. We have the same criteria as any surf event here. We're looking for speed, power, and flow on the waves. We're looking for maneuvers in that power pocket of the wave, which is right in that curl, right by the whitewash, but on that open face. As we see Elias, late drop as he takes, he just dug the nose on that, and that was a entry into that wave a little late. As we see out the back, Jeff Munson again, and Jeff is one of our longtime competitors, a 5-time champion here at Dukes. If anybody's going to take this out, it's going to be Jeff, and he's really the man to beat today. And as he goes for a little head dip and goes for the tube, he really does hunt the barrel wherever he is.
So, Bo, we talked a little bit about, as we're going to go to live action here with Philippe Lima, our finals leader, goes aggressive right there. We talked about perhaps a interference on Elias, who was in front of Jeff Munson, and communication from the judges' tower has confirmed that, Bo.
Yeah, the scoring
on white interference.
Yeah, the scoring potential. You see the judges up there. They're conferring, reconferring. You see Rocky Cannon up there, one of our co-announcers, talking with Shiloh and Lapo and all the other judges up there. So the scoring potential, Elias was really close to Jeff Munson, and Jeff could have done more. We're going to watch a replay, and this is the takeoff, Kaipo.
Yeah, so you see Chris in the front gets out of the way, but what happens right here is Elias is certainly impeding on Jeff Munson, who has the right of way. He's the deepest to the peak, so that's why Elias has been deemed an interference, so he's going to get that wave scoring cut in half.
There's a chance here. Well, let's watch this. Chris kicks out, and Elias could have kicked out right here, coming up. He goes to the top, but he stays on the wave, and I think at that point, the judges deemed that an interference. If Elias would have kicked out then, I don't think he would have been called for the interference.
And that's from the athletes' meeting. This is coming straight from the athletes, and we're improving the competition based on their results here of how they want to be in the water. Having the paddles, having the wave skis, having these different disabilities, having that extra person on the wave, it's too much, and that interference needs to be called, and just to keep not only the lineup safe and the competitors safe, but just giving everybody equal opportunity to ride the best waves they can.
Yeah, meanwhile, we just saw the Hummingbird. He's unfazed by it. He's not involved in any of that interference. He just buzzed back and forth, pollinating flower to flower, scoring some points. We'll see if that's going to be a change in the lead as soon as we can get updated on our scoring, but that was a good wave. We'll take another look at Chris Oberle's last wave. He's in the yellow jersey, and we can see him paddling back out right now, Bo.
Yeah, and love his technique, love his enthusiasm, love his drive for the sport. always have good conversations with Chris when he comes to Hawaii, and sometimes when they go to California to help announce these events, these adaptive events that they have. And they've got another one coming up, the U.S. Open Adaptive Surfing Championships at Oceanside, a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the first weekend in October, the 5th, 6th, and 7th in Oceanside. And you can go to USOpenAdaptiveSurfing.org to register. And here we go. Let's watch this replay of Chris Oberle.
Check it out, John. Buzzing on this wave.
Chris is doing great. I know his mom, Twyla Nadine, in Hutchinson, Kansas, is tuning in, so thanks for that back in Hutchinson. And Chris, again, he's got the abilities. His strength is there. His experience level is kind of meeting that strength here as he moves through his competition career and his journey in this competition career. He's been multiple WSA overall champion at those events up and down the coast in California, from San Diego up to Ventura and Pismo Beach even sometimes for those events. So he serves a multitude of waves, from beach breaks to point breaks, and his ability level coupled with that strength, coupled with his architecture background or design background, is really giving him an edge when he designs boards and comes up with new equipment. So looking for Chris to really turn it on here. And as the judges doing a great job, I'm thinking that first heat we had a great judging panel here from the WSL. Thank you guys so much for all of your support and seeing these athletes for their abilities and what they're doing on the waves and rewarding them with those great, excellent scores when appropriate.
Live action here. It's going to be a battle for position, and it's going to be, again, Chris doing a good job of positioning himself, getting around Felipe Lima. He's got this wave, and it definitely has some scoring potential, but oh no.
That was a water, no, that was Jeff Munson.
Yeah, a little bit of a mix-up there, Bo.
Yeah, first I thought that was a water patrol person, but that was Jeff Munson. He could be deemed an interference on hindering the scoring potential, especially hitting rail to rail as he's paddling back out. And here goes Munson on the takeoff.
Yeah, Munson takes this end section right here, but it looks like it stands up quite a bit to an aggressive rail turn. And is going to finish this one off, John.
Yeah, Felipe Lima, again, that his legs are down on the board. You see it here. Jeff Munson's got more of that bent knee stance. As,
Lima
Felipe,
with a 360.
Oh, man, he just digs a nose on the way around. But Felipe, again, pushing the limits. Felipe, with that strap around his knees, his connection to his board is very, it's very tight. And you see Jeff, his legs will kind of move around a little bit. He does have some movement. He likes to sit like that. I've kind of talked seating position with him. That's his power position, and you'll see all these athletes are really looking for their power position so that they can perform on these waves.
See Ann Yoshida, Ava Heller, Mark Thornton. See some of the volunteers getting ready for their heats. We'll see Ava back out in the water. She's the current ISA World Assisted Champion in the women's division, along with Ann Yoshida in the prone division. And Ann's competing with the men and made the final in the overall prone division because we didn't have enough women in the prone to have their separate division. And she's worked her way all into that Final Four.
Well, I was going to ask you when we got to that shot, Bo, was talk to us a little bit about the volunteers here at Access Surf, because they've been putting in some long days working up to this finals day, and they've put in actually efforts every single month, right?
Oh, yeah. We've got a great core. You know, we may have 100 participants that come out for a day at the beach, and we'll have almost 200 volunteers or almost 2-to-1 volunteers out on the beach to assist. You see Philippe in the lead, followed by Jeff Munson in second place. So maybe we can reconfirm if Munson got that interference. No, I believe that's Chris Oberle, yeah, in yellow. So let's watch this. Oberle in control of this wave, and then coming into picture, Jeff Munson, and they do bump rails, and I would think Munson was incurred in interference there.
Well, yeah, we need to get confirmation from the tower as we see Munson live here on a wave, but you can get interference two ways. Well, you can get interference a couple ways, and you can get interference, right, Bo?
Right.
On the way paddling back out, if you don't take the right line paddling back out and stay away from the live wave riding action, you can get an interference while paddling back out.
There's priority interferences, there's paddling interferences, there's surfing interference, dropping in, there's multitude. Here we go, paddling, Chris Oberle.
Chris Oberle buzzing into this one, and again, that short stroke looks like it works in his favor. Unfortunately, that wave had no energy behind it, but he was able to just climb onto that wave. He's currently in second place behind Felipe Lima in this men's sit finals.
And as these boards has changed and as the technology has changed, that longboard nose, there's a reason longboards have that nice bulbous round nose, because they're big boards. They're sort of a lot in the lineup. When you get more of the shortboard and those pointy noses, you don't want to be running into people or things with these kind of short boards, and that's where that experience level goes up. So it's a great job on Chris Oberle's part to avoid that collision.
And Kaipo, the guy in white, Jeff Munson, he lives down in Puerto Escondido, where you were last year for that WSL event where Kai Lenny won, and he's putting on an adaptive event coming up later this year down in Porto.
Wow, that is a pretty heavy wave there over in Oaxaca. As you see our judges tower, and want to be the first to congratulate Felipe Lima. Looks like he's going to take out a win here in the men's sit finals. Here's our heat recap, John.
And here we go, Jeff Munson again. Another great session for him as he tries to get out of that white water. You see him trying to dig that rail and get to the open face, and he does finally make it near the end of that Queen's Ride. So good opening ride for him. And then of course here's that interference with Elias on Jeff Munson here, and that just really took Elias out of the heat completely. Anytime you get an interference, you're really sort of off the back. Jeff on his big wave here, off the top, another nice bottom turn, cutting back into that power source, goes for the head dip. Love his progression.
And great action here. And here's our winner. Felipe Lima's going to win the men's sit finals. When we come back, we're going to have the women's sit finals here at the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships.
E hoi mai, e komo mai. Returning back with you. Welcome at the Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships, the Dukes Ocean Fest, all brought to you by the Outrigger Hotels and Resorts Group. There you see one of our container ships making its way into the harbor ahead of what is said to be one of the bigger storms knocking on our door, but we're enjoying the beautiful conditions this morning with the women's sit division final round for these girls. The format is a non-elimination, 2 heats to show their stuff. The scores are on the board with Mira Va'a Duarte in first place. Rocky Cannon with Bo Hodge and John Davis. Bo, lovely conditions today. The women's sit round 2. They're very excited.
Yeah, this division we only had 4 competitors, and since we've gave a double elimination format to all of our competitors, these 4 ladies competed on Monday, and this is the second time, so they'll keep their best 2 scores from Monday, hold over into here, and best 2 scores here. And we've got a battle between Elena Nichols and Mira Va'a, and let's watch Mira.
Wow.
She has really come to the forefront of women's sit performance, hasn't she, John?
She has. Wave of the day yesterday morning for Mira, and she's doing it again. She's working on those tail slides up on the lip, and she is getting up there, getting that those fins released, getting that tail released, and that just takes projection off the bottom and speed.
Yeah,
Well,
Mira, a great story we can tell you about, but let's watch Victoria here. She's stroking in, and is Elena going to get into this wave? Elena's going to take the left. And our Canadian competitor, Victoria, who's not only in the women's sit final, she's also in the women's kneel final coming up towards the end of the round.
One of our dual finalists, that's very commendable. And also very commendable, a great display of sportsmanship by Elena Nichols on that last wave. Had the option to take the right-hander in position and possibly incur an interference against Victoria Fage. But Elena, you can see that show of class right there. Opts for the left. They both get a score, but I believe Mira Va'a Duarte is really putting on a great show. Had awesome performance the last couple of days, and with that first wave, tail slides and the like, really going to put another good score on the board. Stuck in the white water right there was Elena Nichols. Not going to be much there for her. They're all going to be chasing Miss Va'a Duarte.
Well, I tell you what, Elena Nichols is a rock star in adaptive surfing. She's a rock star in adaptive sports. She was a snowboarder and got injured, and she is one of the very few athletes ever to gold medal. That's right, gold medal in 2 Olympic sports at the Paralympics, in the women's basketball summer games and the winter downhill skiing Paralympics. So, and now she wants to win a gold medal in the Paralympics, possibly in Paris coming up in 2024.
You see the flags waving on the beach. It has a Paralympic vibe here for the Adaptive Surfing Championships. You saw Hawaiian flag on screen a minute ago, the Brazilian flag. We've seen the Chileans displaying their flag prominently. Here's Elena Nichols, a little bit deep on that takeoff, but Queen forgiving for her, but not looking like she'll make it around the section there. Just way on the end, the non-critical part of the wave, so that will affect the scoring there. Judges want to see those maneuvers out the back in the critical portion of the wave, like we saw the first of Mira a moment ago.
Rocky, here's a story about Elena Nichols. Years ago, she had never been on a wave ski. She came to Hawaii to the Access Surf Hawaii Surfing Adaptive Surfing Championships and won the women's contest just by going out 2 times. She is such in-tuned athlete that she learned it, picked it up that fast. And for the she's been coming here about every other year because her schedule is so booked. She's like Serena Williams. She's being pulled left and right. She's got photo shoots. She's got speaking engagements. She's got promotion events. I mean, she's all over the world traveling, isn't she, John?
She is, and getting introduced to adaptive surfing, Elena was on vacation with her grandmother here in Waikiki, enjoying the sights and sounds, enjoying everything. Found out she could go surfing, contacted Kara at Access Surf, the equipment showed up, the day at the beach every Saturday, first of the month. Off she went to surf, and here she is 4 years later in the women's sit finals, battling with a longtime surfer here, Mira Va'a Duarte, growing up in Samoa. She's actually Samoan, and just having that water experience for me and having that athletic experience for Elena, it's going to make for a great heat out here in the water.
Great story behind Mira. Mira has an adaptive child, and she's adaptive, so she knows, you know, a mother of 2, and one of her 2 is an adaptive child. She came to the day at the beach in the parking lot and would not show up. She would drive. Next month she would come back, and she had these nerves like, oh no, how are people going to accept me? You know, I'll be the only person in a wheelchair or in my crutches. And she realized, oh my God, there are other people just like me there. And then we got her on a tandem board, and we figured out, you know what? I bet you can wave ski. We got her on the wave ski, and now she's one of the most premier athletes in the world, not only in Hawaii, in the world. We took her out at Full Point at a Hase event at Sandy Beach.
Man.
She got 9 5s and a 10.
There's a replay of that wave where Elena Nichols got out of the way in time. Scoring potential not affected, obviously, for Mira as she carves 2 big turns off the top. Little tail drift right there for good measure, and you know, with that kind of surfing and maneuverability on the wave ski, that wave is going to improve and increase her lead, and she's got a stranglehold on this final in the women's sit.
Well, she already has the lead after heat number 1. Remember, there are only 4 in this division, so they surfed on Monday. Now they're surfing on Wednesday. After day number 1, Mira's 2-wave total is a 10.0. Second place, Elena Nichols, her 2-wave score on Monday was a 6.17. Victoria in black has a 3.47, and Diane Whitcomb, who's an outrigger canoe paddler, she's in the yellow jersey out of Kailua. She has a combined score of a 0.67. So they come into this already with a seeding of points carried over. They'll combine their best 2 waves of this current heat, and will have the best 4-wave total for their overall ranking to see 1st through 4th.
I like that. I like that. We had some smaller waves for those earlier heats. We're getting into kind of the end of the contest here with our finals heat. We have the waves shown up. The women can really show their stuff and put their abilities into action here today. I did have a chance to have a quick sit down with Mira last night as we were playing guitar, sitting around the dinner table, and she looked at me and she goes, I'm a local here, John, and I know this break, and I've been surfing this break every day that I can. Every day that break, I'm here. So she knows exactly where to sit. She knows exactly which ones she wants, and I'm looking for her to really put the heat on Elena Nichols. And Elena Nichols, I'm surprised at her competitiveness that she pulled back from that wave. As Rocky mentioned, went left. Just let Mira have that. Great strategy for her, and no harm, no foul there for these women.
Great sportsmanship, and you know, Mira and Elena, that's like Roger Federer and Nadal playing. I mean, these are the rivals. This is Connor and Borg. I mean, this is, you know, these are the cream of the crop. So, you know, these are the goats of women's sit wave ski.
Well, we have a moment, and introducing our Spectrum viewers for today's broadcast. Want to let all of you guys know that we are broadcasting also on explore.org. And if you got your TV on for the broadcast, hey, pull up your smartphone or computer and check out explore.org. They're a huge supporter of all of our Hawaii events. They really enjoy supporting the uniqueness and the mana and the aloha spirit of Hawaii, all in honor of Duke Kahanamoku. So please, in any moment of time, you need some relief and just need to view nature in its most natural state, explore.org, really specializing in portraying Mother Nature to your screen, helping us fall in love all over again, which in turn gives way to conservation, preservation, all of those things that we need to be conscious of on a daily basis. So mahalo, explore.org. Also, surfline.com, your one-stop shop for waves, tides all around the world. Check them out as well.
Well, here we go. We got a double ride here, Victoria and Mira, and Victoria's got to be careful. I don't see any hindering of the scoring right there, but she does get a little bit of a floater, so the contact was not made there. I think the judges will make a no call on that one, Rock.
You know, the whole wave was crumbling all the way across. Had Victoria not been there, you could imagine Mira would have still been trapped in whitewater with no scoring potential or minimal scoring potential. So we'll wait and see. However, you know, these athletes have demanded a rigorous interference standard here today. So that one, even after 30+ years of competition experience myself, that one's up in the air in my book.
It's up in the air. I like what Victoria did. She leaned on that rail. As soon as the whitewater hits the back of these sit skis, you really lose control a little bit, so you have to kind of come through. As you see Mira in the peak, in the power position, taking off, going up to the top and looking at that bottom turn. Here's where Victoria loses the tail, but she keeps on that edge, keeps on that rail, and gets out of the way.
The judges do not have a replay screen as we do here, and on second look, Mira was well into that wave on her way. Victoria needs to have better peripherals for this competition, especially with the elevated status of the interference requested by the athletes and directors. So that one, you know, after watching the replay, could be leaning more towards the call.
Also, the surfer on the shoulder creates breakage of the wave.
Correct.
And so Victoria was creating that breakage of the wave where you saw her in that floating position. Here we go, Elena Nichols, Mira Va'a, taking a look. It's going to be Elena Nichols stroking into this wave. Can she maintain her position? No.
Sets out the back. a welcome sight here today, and possibly seeing, you know, the initial effects of the incoming Hurricane Lane. And wherever you guys are in Hawaii, please be prepared. Late drop for Elena Nichols. Beautiful bottom turn. Comes around that section. That is the critical part of the wave right there, and that'll help Elena's scoring here as she chases down Mira Duarte. We'll see if Elena can make up some ground there, but definitely with that, she was already in second place coming into this heat. I gotta think that's gonna further solidify at least a runner-up position for now.
I am seeing a little bit of hummingbird here from Elena as well with that shorter paddle stance, but as we see Mira, nice fade on this takeoff here. She sets up that bottom turn, gets around her fellow competitor there nicely as she's just looking down the line for that projection. She's looking to set something up here. She's coming around the corner and just throws a nice little slide on that tail. Shows control. She regains that those fins and re-engages them. As we see out the back, Victoria Fang from Canada on a screamer here out the back at Queens here. Great conditions, trying to get around this section and just not able to do that. See a little longer paddle there for stability as well, and balance on the wave for that length of that paddle as well.
How good was Mira's wave? I mean, she was looking for that head duck, wasn't she, Rock?
Yeah, it was standing up and potentially on offer, but she was really leaning forward and on her inside rail. And you mentioned the word screamer, John. Mira was on screamer ×2. That was a full-on screamer, top of the lungs, blood-curdling scream down the line. Amazing speed that she was able to attain on that candy corn a bit of equipment right there. You see the colors right there. I'm just having childhood Halloween flashbacks all over again. But beautiful top turn, and then comes into this section, you know, the hair trailing in the wind right there as an extra bit of flair. Would have liked to see a little more on the rail for that turn with all of that speed, but nonetheless, she right now is in the driver's seat, literally and comfortably. She's on her way.
There we go, Elena Nichols fighting back. You know, these two, they are the best in the women's sit division in the world, and it's great to see them in the final here at Queens, part of the 2018 Dukes Ocean Fest. The Hawaii Adaptive Surfing Championships being presented by Access Surf. This is our 12th year running this event at Dukes Ocean Fest. 12 years ago, John, it was an expression session, and every year it's been building and building, and now almost 2 full days of competition and a half day to wrap up our final day. I mean, 80 competitors from around the world, 15 nations. I mean, this is almost as big as the ISA Worlds.
It is, it really is. We have 10 divisions: the men's and women's stand, men's and women's sit, prone, kneel, men's and women's assist, visually impaired, and the deaf. Of course, that Wounded Warrior expression session just makes everyone stoked at the beach.
Want to also let our viewers know that the broadcast will be in full replay mode at accesssurf.org. As well as Surfline, and also today's broadcast replaying on Spectrum. So we're going to be having until Sunday, I believe. So we'll be having extensive coverage. Make sure you guys make time in your calendar the first Saturday of every month. Come out to White Plains Beach. Check the accesssurf.org calendar, because I know the next couple of months there's some alterations in the schedule, but the website will have the up-to-date schedule. At least once a month, there's a beach day for new participants, for continuing participants, volunteer opportunities. We need ocean awareness and ocean experienced volunteers. We need folks on the beach. We need folks in the tent, lunch volunteers. It's quite a production, and we need all the help we can. So just want to get our new viewers up to speed with the daily monthly happenings of Access Surf.
First Saturday of the month, except for September. We're going to do the second Saturday on the 8th. You can plan on that. Every third Wednesday